I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Thanks for coming in. If we look at the Proverbs, verse 21, or chapter 21 and verse 6, it says, "Wealth created by lying is vanishing like a mist and a deadly trap." Wealth created by a lying tongue is a vanishing mist and a deadly trap. Now, this is happening in a lot of relationships. There is narcissism in this verse. A relationship created by a lying tongue is a vanishing mist and a deadly trap. It's a vanishing mist. What's that, viewers? That's the devaluation stage. And what's the deadly trap? The lie. The what? The love bombing stage. The honeymoon stage where all the future faking and lying and mirroring goes on. And these people, it's false wealth. The wealth is you. Not that I'm not saying you're false. The wealth is you. The person that's trying to get your wealth is false. They come with a lying tongue, create a vanishing mist, and it's a deadly trap. Are you with me? The scriptures are powerful. People that come with a truthful tongue have clear air and no trap, a narrow road where everyone knows where they are going, not the wide road where nobody knows where they're going. So relationships created by a truthful tongue that gives value to the relationship. There's no mist, it's clear, the air is clear, and there's no trap. It's a nice, narrow road where everybody knows where they are going. Verse 7. "The violence of the wicked sweeps them away." And again, we see loss by violence. And this can be psychological abuse, psychological vandalism. Violence and hostility always, in most cases, can be connected to psychopathy and narcissism. And their wickedness sweeps them away, but there's one problem with that, viewers. It doesn't just sweep them away. Guess what? In a lot of cases, it sweeps you away as well if you're with these types of people. Because they refuse to do what is just. And just always comes back to the golden rule, which is don't harm yourself or anybody else. So we see the discard stage of the narcissistic relationship. It's just everything's being swept away. They are refusing to resolve. They're going with what's unjust. And there's nothing left. Are you enjoying this? Verse 8. "The guilty walk a crooked path." Now, who are the guilty? The lying tongue, the violence. The guilty walk a crooked path. Right? It's not a narrow, straight path where everyone knows where they're going. But the innocent travel, and there it is, look. And I didn't rehearse this at all. The innocent travel a straight road. this is the thing, when you're with people that aren't being straight and you just sense it in your gut, that's when it's time to go. That's when it's time to say, no, I'm sorry. I don't like this sense of guilt and shame that you're bringing. I don't like the crookedness and the way in which you're psychologically behaving, and by the sound of verse 7, physically behaving. And I most certainly, unfortunately, don't like lying. So if you don't mind, I'll be off down the straight road. Hear that beautiful Australian native bird, while you go down the crooked road. You go down the crooked path, and I'll go down the straight road. The interesting part about that verse is a path is somewhere where you walk. A road is somewhere that you drive or ride on. And so in this instance, there's a hint that there's more people that are willing to go down the straight road by being innocent, because there's more room for them, than being guilty and walking down the crooked path. I think the human spirit wants to be innocent, but there's a part in our nature that sort of holds us into doing things that make us guilty. But we still have a choice. Verse 9. It's better to live alone in the corner. Oh my God, I didn't know this was coming. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Now, I've experienced this on several occasions, and let me just say, a quarrelsome wife, listen very carefully, a quarrelsome wife isn't necessarily somebody that is verbally abusing you. It can also be the passive-aggressive woman as well, who doesn't say anything at all. She's just difficult to get on with. You don't know if you're coming or going. You don't know if they're coming or going. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. There's so many aspects to quarrelsome. I remember when I had a very serious kiting accident, my second wife and I were to meet at the Gosford waterfront to go for a lovely walk together. She never showed up. I never had a phone. My phone was broken. This meeting was to be at 9:30 in the morning, of which then I was going to pick up the phone at 11 o'clock in the morning. She never showed up. So I walked to get the phone. I get the phone at 11 o'clock. Find my way home, and as I'm walking up towards the street, she's come to pull out of the street. And I've said to her, "Where were you?" And she said, "I went to buy a dress." And I've gone, "I beg your pardon?" Oh, she goes, "Oh yes, I went to the post office and then I went to buy a dress." I've gone, "But we were supposed to go for a walk." Dun, 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 dun. You know, you go, uh-oh, this just isn't adding up. And of course, things deteriorate from there. You can't tell people are going to do this stuff. Why do they wait till you marry them to do it? Why do they wait till you get married before they actually come out of the closet? I don't know. I ended up going kiting that day with tremendous confusion and lots of questions about what all that meant and why did that happen. And had a very serious accident. It took 12 months to recover from. Through lack of concentration, I come in from kiting. I just went, no, I'm not able to do this at the moment. My head's just not right. I come in and got taken up into the air on land, 5 meters up, 25 meters across. Fortunately, I came in diagonally. If I had to come straight down, I would have got killed. So 4 years later, my ankle will never be the same. And I put that down to covert narcissism and the trauma that comes with that and the confusion. I was so confused. Why didn't she come down for the walk? We'll never know. The damage people can do. They don't even know they're doing it. And I learnt this passage. There's a couple of passages. Another one says it's better to live on the corner of a roof than with a quarrelsome or contentious wife in a lovely home. And I fully understand. The marriage ended, the 2-year marriage ended when the son moved in, and him and his mother they over-bonded. They went through a honeymoon period, a reunion period. And the marriage was over in 10 weeks. I asked them to leave. And number 10, verse 10 of 21. Evil people desire, and this is something that you've got to get in your head. If you're experiencing evil, if these people around you are being evil, guess what? They desire evil. That's what they desire. I've had women that have said, I just, I want peace. I don't want toxicity, and they're as toxic as hell. And when I say toxic, it doesn't mean yelling and screaming. It can be passive aggressive. And you need discernment for that one. Passive aggressive, you need discernment for that. Because you can't tell what's going on. It can fry your brain. It's a form of narcissistic abuse. They don't say anything. They don't ring, text. They don't acknowledge you. They don't ask. You can sit there and ask them how work's going. They don't ask you back. How's your job? No. You really cannot be struck down by the beauty of a woman. You can't. You have to be aware of what's happening psychologically in the relationship, and whether it's healthy or not, or you'll end up a casualty. These people, they have a desire for evil. They don't want to bring what's good. And their neighbours get no mercy from them. What's the golden rule, viewers? Love your neighbour as yourself. So you can see these people have no mercy on themselves. They'll just throw themselves into any form or fashion of evil. Does that sound like a... Yes, it does. Narcissist. They don't care who they harm, who they hurt, how it affects people, the damage that they leave behind. They just want their evil, because that's what they desire. And remember, I'm not talking about monsters and ghosts and Dracula and vampires. I'm talking about evil. It can be an affair, reckless sex. They got this desire to go reckless. They go and have an affair. They're in emotional affairs at work, or they've got people orbiting the relationship and they're just keeping them in a holding pattern until you've had enough of them, and then they're off into bed with somebody else. I'm not saying that's always the case, or that is the case, but it can happen, and it does happen. And they've got no consideration, no mercy for anyone, as long as they get their desire. I've seen these mothers starving for man, right? They get the man, the children are pushed to the side, the cats and dogs and lizards and ferrets are, left to fend for themselves until she's had a fill. And then guess what? You're pushed to the side while the ferrets and rabbits and children and lizards and snakes, cats and dogs and things get looked after. You've got to understand, when you're just a supply. You've got to understand. These people have been so damaged they don't know how to build a proper relationship. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist from the Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. There's narcissism again in the scriptures. I'm not saying it's full-blown MPD, but there is characteristics of it there. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.